approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So we'll move on to public comment. Just a reminder that if there's 4 or more requests, we limit to 3 minutes for that. So when the buzzer goes off, if you could wrap up we'll give you a few minutes, not a few minutes, but we'll let you finish your thought after that. We're not going to cut you right off at 3 minutes. So let's start with Mr. Langlois. Langlois? And I recognize that 3 minutes of another member's time or another guest's time was yielded to you, understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are you guys having problems hearing us?
Yes.
Oh,
That's in a bad spot too.
Where would you like me?
Not you, yeah.
I'm
Not
good
you.
with anyway.
not you.
Not you.
You're good right there.
All right, is it
Go ahead.
You're good.
Sure.
Hello and good evening. My name is Christopher Langlois. I'm a 2003 graduate of Gwynn High School. I live and work within this community. I am here, I am well read, I am visible, and I am angry. 2 things really quick. My flair, President Waldo, doesn't get me picked on. My flair makes me loved by this community. The pride flag, Ms. Ketela, stands for acceptance and unity. It's literally in the definition. It is not perception. Google it. You are both willfully, recklessly, and dangerously ignorant if you have to argue and talk over a flag's truth and what it stands for when someone was trying to educate you on it. Don't speak on something you're completely ignorant or non-supportive to. It's dangerous. Queer people like me get killed every day from that mentality, and I refuse to be the next Matthew Shepard. I'm sure you have never been questioned, nor have you ever been insulted or bullied or murdered because of any of your sexualities. And I'm sorry, but Ms. Ketela, the way you spoke over TJ was inappropriate. President Waldo, you stated you don't know the students well in this school, that you aren't here enough to know the ins and outs, yet you were so quick and bold to play an idea card. That card should have been left well enough alone. The collected gasp of those in attendance radiated with me to my core. Go the idle route. Stay quiet and in the closet. Strip the flair from yourself so you don't get yourself picked on. Quit gaslighting. No one should be picked on for any sort of sexuality, disability, or the color of their skin, period. Unacceptable. On to don't ask, don't tell. The card that should not have been played regardless of idea or woeful ignorance. Something that was repealed from even our armed forces shouldn't be a thing that this school system is speaking about in 2022. Not even as an I don't know idea. Don't ask, don't tell may have been a thing 20 years ago, but it's not now. And I refuse to walk back into the closet every time I step through the doors of my alma mater to sing the national anthem at sporting events. I felt the secondhand shame and embarrassment after that comment. Even more so after hearing how a Trump flag and a pride flag are the same things when they are clearly opposites. Onward. My favorite teacher in high school was Miss Waldo, your wife. She taught me and many others that came and went through her door that we have a voice, we are seen, we are loved regardless of our walks of life, and above all else that we would be heard. We are to stand when forced to sit down, and we are to be loud when they tell us to be quiet, and that we are to show up when visibility on an issue we're passionate about needs a flame thrown at it. That's when you pull the phoenix from your soul and become your own firebird. And to the students and kids in this community, I will be that firebird. I did my research. I went directly to the source of the issue. I spoke with students and their parents, all walks of life. Queer kids, straight kids, black kids, mixed kids, Asian kids, indigenous kids, and Hispanic kids. Do you want to know what I did next? I listened. I took notes. I listened to their stories, what they had seen and heard and felt firsthand. I listened to them. Their words still shake me to the fiber of my being. What they said made me furious, and many of the things they shared broke my heart. To the parents and students that I spoke to, I am personally so deeply sorry for what you have had to go through in the school district, but my apology isn't enough. The consensus of my conversations was this: all of us in this room, all of us in this community, every child and parent and individual needs to be held accountable and responsible for what comes out of their mouth. This bullying issue doesn't just affect one single group of kids in this community, it affects all of them. Every race, gender, special needs, and everyone in between. Every child that comes into this school should feel visible and heard, not fearful about what will be said to them or done to them while walking the halls or in a classroom. School is supposed to be a safe place for these students. A place to learn and to grow into who they are and who they're going to be as a person, a place to figure themselves out. It's not solely just for an education. Losing our flair and dulling our personalities or even adopting a uniform is not going to answer the issue. Nor is it or has it ever been a solution. The solution is honestly easy. If together, everyone, we stay compassionate for one another, love and respect everyone as individuals, and just be nice to one another, the change will eventually come, and that change will be revolutionary. It will take a lot of work from everyone in this building and in this community, but our small town is better than yours is a mindset. We are a strong people, and together we can prove this hashtag to be right. We can do anything we set our minds to here. No one is perfect. We are all flawed. Therefore, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Seriously needs to come back to the forefront. To the kids of this district, the last of my speech is just for you. I will fight for you. I will be your voice. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you are heard and seen. But it's your time now to lead the change. It's time for you to step up and help each other instead of tearing each other down. Be the change you wish to see. Administration and the school board can only go so far. This needs to come from you. Be better, do better, love better, and accept what you cannot understand. If you have nothing nice to say, regardless of your own personal convictions, choose to not say anything at all. Let each other live. Let them prosper in their own existence. It costs absolutely nothing to be kind, and you get so much back if you love instead of hate. Be mindful and never hurtful. Be fearless and loud, and always walk in your truth. Thank you.
Ms. Noel?
I felt the need to speak tonight on behalf of the LGBTQ community. I want to first emphasize that this community is not a political party. Being part of this community does not define your political preference. It is an inherent part of your existence, just like heterosexuality is for those who identify as such. I say this because it was stated at the last board meeting that the Trump flag and the pride flag were at opposite ends of a political party. Again, the LGBTQ community is not a political party. It's an aspect of someone's identity. The pride flag is not a flag of violence. In fact, it is the exact opposite. It is one of love and acceptance. To equate it as somehow politically equal to an accessory designed to carry a gun in a public school is nothing short of absurd. It also represents a group of communities that have experienced unmitigated discrimination, oppression, and violence throughout American history. Only until recently have members of this community been able to enter public places without the fear of violence or join the workforce on a similar footing as others. During the last board meeting, a member mentioned that donning a pride flag could place a target on the back of the bearer, so to speak. This mentality does not suggest acceptance or even tolerance. The suggestion that a student who wears a pride flag places a target on their back places the blame of any discrimination on the student who chooses to wear the rainbow. It excuses misconduct of students who feel victimized, a community that has faced historical oppression. It tells LGBT students or their allies, keep quiet, don't rock the boat, don't ask for equal treatment. If something happens to you, it's your fault. It was brought up that perhaps Gwynn Community Schools should adopt the don't ask, don't tell mentality. This is terrifying. Don't ask, don't tell is one of the most regressive possible options to propose. Don't ask, don't tell is a policy that discourages students in the LGBT community from understanding who they are, understanding that there are others like them, and understanding that who they love is not something to hide. To encourage students otherwise is extremely isolating. To that end, I would like to share some statistics. 19% of the LGBTQ+ community attempt suicide each year. This number is reduced by 40% if that student has at least one ally. Study after study demonstrates that there are heightened risk factors are not because there is something inherently wrong with LGBT youth, but because they experience greater degrees of isolation and alienation than their peers. Don't Ask, Don't Tell is a policy designed to isolate and alienate. As a staff member of Gwynn Community School, it is our responsibility to provide inclusive classrooms, a classroom where all students are celebrated for their strengths and their differences. Most often, it is a member of our staff that is that child's ally. This is not a dramatic thing. It can be as simple as displaying an inclusive poster in your classroom or respecting the student's pronoun of choice. It is my hope that we can work together to make sure that all our students are accepted.
Ms. Modis?
Good evening. My name is Casey Modis. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a graduate of Gwynn High School, as well as a substitute teacher and the mother of soon-to-be 3 children in the district. I would first like to acknowledge the students on whose behalf we speak and those who have spoken. You are brave, and I'm so proud of you. I'm here tonight to touch on comments made by board members that impact 2 communities I am a part of. The first is comprised of the victims of school bullying. StopBullying.gov explains that students who are bullied are more likely to experience things like depression, anxiety, declining grades, and are 9 times more likely to consider or commit suicide. Mr. Waldo suggested we try dulling our shine. I heeded that advice when I was in school. I grew to resent any part of my personality that stuck out or attracted attention. I grew to hate myself. When the bullying didn't stop and the faculty failed to intervene, I resorted to actions that have left me scarred and honestly lucky to be alive. I have spent the past decade and a half trying to recover. I would do anything to keep another child from experiencing that kind of pain. It is 2022. There are so many ways for you to become informed on the pervasive issues associated with bullying. Yet, Mrs. Ketela, your suggestion was that sometimes bullying can make a person tougher. I can assure you that the countless nights I spent wishing I didn't exist did not make me tougher then, and the PTSD and trauma that I experience and cope with as an adult does not make me tougher now. There are children, UP children, dying from this. Our kids deserve better than uneducated remarks instituted in place of policy. The second group I speak for is the LGBTQ+ community. I have been lucky to sub at Gilbert, Gwynn Middle, and Gwynn High School for over a year now. In that time, I've gotten to know almost every student in those schools, though admittedly not all by name. The night before June 1st, as I happily decorated a Pride bulletin board in the band hallway, which you're free to go and check out, I spoke to some of our students. They informed me that they wanted to wear their Pride regalia to school on the last day, but were nervous about any backlash they might receive. I assured them that they would be safe, and I encouraged them to celebrate themselves openly. I am ashamed of how wrong I was. Instead, they were met with hate, discrimination, and intimidation. I find the board's responses disgusting. Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and uniforms have less to do with protecting these kids than they do with attempting to suppress their existence. Mrs. Kettle, you relayed your hope that we could be respectful of each other's differing opinions. But here's the thing. A person's identity, including one that falls under the LGBTQ umbrella, is not an opinion. These children exist and make up a large portion of our student body. Queer kids are at an astronomically higher risk for being bullied, sexually assaulted, and committing suicide. By diminishing them the way you have made those risks even greater. These are our kids, and if any of you have spent some time getting to know them better, you would quickly learn that these queer students are some of the best students we have. They are respectful, kind, ambitious, helpful, and hardworking, all things I've learned in the classroom. But more importantly, they deserve to be protected when they walk through those doors. They deserve to receive an education, not bullying, threats, or opposition, that is then amplified by people sitting in seats of power that are meant to protect them. So where does that leave us? With our kids that don't feel safe in schools, and a community ready to recall each and every one of you. It seems insurmountable, but you can still choose to step up. You can look within yourselves and consider all that you have and will hear tonight. You can invest time in getting to know our students and their families, and you can move our district forward. However, if your personal biases or beliefs render that an unconscionable path, if they keep you from protecting all of our students, then it is time, all of our students, not just those that fit in your ideal binary, then it is time for you to step aside and make way for someone who is willing and capable of doing the job correctly. It's your choice. Step up or step aside. Thank you.
Ms. Wellman?
Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Lonan. I'm a teacher here. Very good in front of little humans, not so much in front of the big ones, but bear with me. I just wanted to briefly start by expressing how disappointed and troubled I was watching the footage from the last board meeting. Some members of the board liken the LGBT community to a political party aligned at the opposite end of a Trump flag. It was insinuated that students were making targets of themselves by exercising their freedom of expression, and there was a suggestion we should try for a don't ask, don't tell policy. All of these comments came across incredibly hurtful to a group of students and others in the community who are just trying to figure themselves out and live their lives. Being LGBT is not a political statement and has nothing to do with politics. More importantly, it felt like these comments were made dragging a vulnerable community of students who had nothing to do with the dress code issue that was being discussed by the board. I'm hopeful that these comments did not come from a place of malice and were not intended to be harmful to the LGBT community. But I teach my students that when it comes to the things we say, impact is often much more important than intent. So I invite the members of the board to reflect on their statements and the impact that they had, which you can see by people talking here. I don't want to dwell on the past. I'm mostly here to suggest that as a district, we work towards becoming a more welcoming environment, or as welcoming as we can be to all of our students. Students should feel safe and see themselves represented in our classrooms. One way I think this could be worked towards is to start the district-wide Committee for Diversity and Inclusion, a committee which I have already tried to start once and was previously shut down by previous administration. The committee should be made up of board members, I hope, administration, and faculty who are committed to making the Gwynn Area Community School District a district where every student, no matter their race, ethnicity, disability, gender identity, family structure, or sexuality, feels safe and included. The committee can be tasked with examining things like our libraries, policies the district has, professional development opportunities, curriculum, and overall culture through a diverse lens to make sure that every student feels like they have a seat at the table in the classroom. I would love the opportunity to serve on such a committee, and I am quite sure that others in this room would also love that opportunity and be willing and able to do this important work. Diversity is not something that should be feared or looked at as a political talking point or agenda item. Creating a diverse and inclusive learning environment is simply making sure every single student can bring their entire self to school. It's making sure no student feels like they have to hide or alter important pieces of their identity to be able to have a safe learning environment. I really hope you agree with this sentiment and consider supporting the creation of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee and open it up to those of us willing to do this work. Thank you.
Ms. Evans?
Hi, my name's Tina Evans. I've been here the last 2 board meetings. I've had lots to say. I have a few things I'd like to address. First thing I'd like to address is my son Nehemiah Spain being kicked out of summer school. Ms. Paulson made some pretty big allegations against Nehemiah. The principal looked at the video. I stated this at the last meeting. Ms. Paulson's remarks were untrue. Nehemiah was not kicking, screaming, throwing things. Mr. Bruce agreed with Ms. Paulson that Nehemiah should be kicked out of school and has yet to look at that video. I have not had a phone call or anything stating it has been further looked into. A little disappointed knowing that Mr. Bruce's contract was just renewed, and there's a lot of things he hasn't been really stepping up to the plate to. At the May meeting, I did leave the board with some questions. One of the questions was, can you put your political, religious, and personal views aside? Ms. Ketla, in April, your biggest concern seemed to be, why is Good Friday not a holiday on the school schedule? Well, let me let you know, not everyone celebrates Good Friday. That is a religious view. You need to keep that on your own privacy. If it's going to be that way, I would expect that the Jewish community, the African American community, the Arabic community, and every other community get their Jewish, or their holidays on schedule also. Also, as far as personal views, Mr. Waldo, you really disappointed with me with the don't ask, don't tell. I expected a little more out of you, seeing as you're a police officer. I don't only worry about the concern of our local children, I worry about the concern of those that you're policing in the Upper Peninsula, because I don't think everyone's getting a fair chance. Ms. Myers, you stated that bullying makes you stronger. Casey spoke on the statistics. Our community is going down. We need help. Our children need help. Ashley, I'm a little disappointed that you haven't stepped up a little more trying to push mental health awareness. You work for Pathways. They've reached out to our administration and they do nothing. Our children are dying. Our children are overdosing. Is it worth it? Can each of you sit here and say, I did my best? I don't think so. I don't think the community thinks so. Just so much. The LGBTQ community, I don't think that they need to wear pride shirts and say, hey, I belong to this community. They're asking to be included. If we had an all-inclusive community or school, no one would have to feel that way. To this day, has anyone reached out to Mahatma's family of when he was called the N-word during a basketball game? Absolutely not. Why did they come to me? This is Mahatma's family. This is the African American family. I should not have to stand here and try to advocate for everyone. Step up or step out. Thank you.
Kai?
My name is Kai Spang. I was at the last meeting. I brought up just blatant discrimination that we, the students of Gwynn High School, are going through. President Waldo, my first statement is to you. I am rather disappointed in how you addressed me. I very clearly last time told you that my pronouns were he, they, yet you refer to me as Miss. To the school board, I am very displeased. Your response to my concerns were don't ask, don't tell. Your response to my concerns were putting the blame on the victims of bullying, rather than actually cutting it out at the source and actually finding out what is happening to the students at this school. The last meeting, I barely recognized any of you. John Waldo, I have not seen you in my life, and you are the president of this school board. This tells me, a student at your school, that you haven't bothered to actually personalize yourself with any of the students. We don't know you, and yet you are running our school. Explain to me how that makes any sense. It seems to me that you think that only a handful of students are actually affected by bullying. I am here to tell you that it is the majority. Majority of us do not feel safe, and you are sitting here complaining about a dress code, thinking we should have uniforms and how we shouldn't be broadcasting ourselves out to everybody. We are not going to just hide in a corner. We hadn't done that long enough. That doesn't work. That just isolates us, makes us feel like we don't have any safe place to go. This is a school. It is meant to be a safe place, and it is not. Don't ask, don't tell. We'll just tell students that they don't have anywhere that they can go if they feel like they're being discriminated against. It makes them feel like they're the ones to blame. I cannot tell you the amount of my friends who have come to me saying, hey, I know that you've gone to the school board meeting. Hey, I know that you are speaking out against this, and I want to say thank you. Because when I had a problem, and when I went to a staff member, they told me, hey, just stop doing that, and if it keeps happening, come tell me. Or if they went to a staff member and said, hey, this is going on, how the staff member said, oh, boys will be boys, or that person does that all the time, nothing's going to change, rather than actually trying to help the student. I am very disappointed and very upset about that. Thank you.
Dustin Milner.
Hey guys, my name is Dustin Milner. I'm from Gwen. I graduated in 2009. I am currently the head coach of the American Legion baseball team. I'm here to talk to you about that tonight. I've talked to, I would say, every coach in the UP in the last 2 months. And we want to propose the idea of a high school baseball club, not full-on team paid by the district, but instead a club paid on by the Legion team. We would just transfer our funds over to that, and then the kids would play high school baseball here for Gwen High School as a model towner. And then after the season ends, we would go into the Legion team and go back to being the Gwen Lightning. As of right now, our turnover rate is really good, really good. We got 16 kids on the roster. I lose 1 next year due to his birthday. I lose 2 the following year, and I gain 5 next year. Probably gain anywhere between 8 or 9 the following year after that. I could run numbers up all day long about the kids that the Little League here in Gwyn are bringing up left and right playing baseball. But growing up as a kid that played baseball my entire life, this is the best chance at getting a high school baseball team because of what the Little League has been doing the last couple of years and rebuilding that program. Our team this year was phenomenal. We got a super young team. They got a lot of heart. I didn't know about this meeting until yesterday at 10:30 at night. And they said go down and see what you can do or whatever. But as far as the district is concerned, I talked to quite a few coaches, and they are more than willing to get us on the schedule for this year as a Gwyn Model Towner baseball team. They're more than willing to play us. They prefer it, to be honest with you, the closer they get to home, you know, whether it be Iron Mountain or Norway or Ishpeming, even Marquette. They have a lot of teams where they play that are going out to the Sioux or going up to Jeffers or going out to Iron County or anything like that. They would rather play teams that are closer home, same with us. As far as any kind of money is concerned, we're going to upfront all of that just so that our boys can wear the model towner uniform, you know. And that's all I got. Sorry.
Thank you.
You guys mind if I turn this fan on?
Go for it.
If it bothers you guys, let me know, but I'm dying up here.
We're all saying.
We move on to financial report.
First thing on the agenda with the financial report is the presentation of claims. It's our monthly check register. That begins on page 10, ends on page 17. Let our treasurer review all of these. One question that came up was just any costs to have any presentations. What's another word for that? School assembly type things. Those are, if there is a cost for those are usually spent through the student funds, and that's what happened when we had one with Nick Baumgartner at the end of the school year. That cost was paid by the 3 different buildings, Gilbert Elementary, K, so your elementary, and then the middle school, high school was split between that. So that's really the only question that's come up about things like that. So with that, I would ask that the board approve the June accounts payable for the amount of $1,096,709.39.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None heard?
Just an update on like our audit process with it being end of the school, end of the fiscal year was, June 30th. So that's why you might have noticed that there weren't any other financial reports in the board packet, because that would be called the audit, which we're still working on. So we're not going to give year-end reports until the audit is done. Auditors come at the end of this month for a couple days, and then they'll come again in August to finish it up. And so we've just been doing just really heavy into grant work, wrapping up grants, just a lot of paperwork involved with that, and then other year-end work with that. The House Fiscal Agency did put out an estimated district impact for the bill, the financial package for the money that the governor did sign that we would be coming our way next year, so the $450 per pupil. Now, I'm going to read you some totals on here, but you need to keep in mind that a lot of this is on a per pupil basis. So this is not written in stone. This is just an estimated impact, but it is because it is a very good, it's very good news. Okay, so but until we actually have our count next fall and everything shakes out, when we have the details. But the $450 per pupil, they're estimating that that's going to give us just around $400,000 more. Now, mind you, this isn't more than what we already budgeted for, because we already put $435 in the budget, and you already passed that. So there was just really about $15 more per pupil in that. But compared to what we had in 21-22 to 22-23, the change would be about $400,000 there. There's some rural district money, which is very small, under $5,000. The at-risk is going to be fully funded, and this is one of the, I would say, the most unique pieces of this budget. We have never seen at-risk to be fully funded. There's always been a proration of about 25%, so, which just means that they haven't funded that categorical since in the past 20 years, since I've been here. It's never been fully funded, and at times it's gotten cut in the middle of the year. Not very often, but that has happened. This time they're saying it's going to be fully funded, so I estimate that that's going to be about $150,000 more for us for at-risk funding. So right now we put the counselors and that sort of thing in all of our counselors in there. So we'll be taking a look at that also with our ESSER funds, because we have some counseling services in that. We also have the student success coordinator in that. Some of those pieces that could fit in at-risk, we might be doing some shifting around. As well as looking at potentially new services, only because with ESSER, the other big piece with ESSER is the HVAC that we're looking at, and those costs have continually gone up. Matter of fact, we thought we'd be able to get all 3 buildings done with ESSER 3, and we've had to pull back and only look at the middle school, high school, because every time we get new engineering numbers, it doubles and triples. So we might be able to work something out that way, which is very important. There is going to be, you might have heard some mental health per pupil payments. That's looking to be about $75,000 to $100,000, and some special education changes as well. So, which could be about $250,000. So, and then there's some school safety per pupil payment, again being per pupil, but maybe about $100,000 with that. Now, all of these new categoricals, I would say the devil's in the details. So how you apply for them, how you have to spend in, what the reporting periods are. Those are all details we still have to work through. The governor just signed this, last week, thereabouts. And so now it's up to the Department of Treasury and MDE to walk all of this out. So we don't have any details specifically, like I'll just take school safety. You know, that's a brand new categorical. What does that mean? Is that infrastructure? Is that in staffing? You know, where is the legislature coming on this? So a lot more questions to be answered on how this money is going to be applied, but it is good news. It's very good news. But details are still yet to roll out on that. Okay.
Perfect.
Can I ask a question? With the special ed increased funding, and I know the details aren't out yet, but if they are, and we can get curriculum.
We can get what?
Curriculum funded.
Oh,
Can you check on that?
Yeah,
Let us know as soon as possible, 'cause
absolutely.
I would really like to get that going.
Yes, you know, and overall, again, like, yes, how this is spent, one thing to keep in mind is that special ed is always underfunded every single year. So what this is doing is this is really just bringing it back, right? It's
Understatement.
Understatement, always underfunded. So, yes, it's a good thing, and I hear you on the curriculum piece of that. Yes, and I think work is still being, right? Our last meeting, there was a math curriculum and a special ed curriculum as well. And you all passed a budget that had a $50,000 placeholder already in for special ed, not a specific, for curriculum. A $50,000 placeholder for curriculum. It wasn't earmarked specifically for anything, but we knew that work needed to be done, and we just wanted to earmark some money for curriculum next year. So that piece was already done. So if it's more than that, then we will also have some additional money to put out.
So, did you say, Amy, when we would have these specifics?
I did not say when we would have those because I really don't know.
Because I'm wondering about school safety and maybe a police
Yep.
liaison.
Oh, very interesting. I do not know, but
That was specifically mentioned in that information with a cost share. Not sure exactly what that's gonna be, if it's a 20% cost share, 25%. Those are information that we don't know yet, but I think there's a lot aimed towards something of that nature, so those are.
Well, I
the
really
pieces
think that it would help Brad
Mhm.
and Tina and Rob.
Well, and
Add some backup for a lot of the things they're doing.
And keeping in mind, though, those legacy costs, right? When you have these special categoricals, it's great, so they might give you $75,000, $100,000 this year, and you can fund a position. What about the year after that? You know, what's the plan? So, doesn't mean it's not a good topic of discussion, but that piece should be a topic of discussion as well, is how do we continue to fund it? You know, where is it on the priority level? If the funding was to go away, and we want the general fund to pick it up, then what is a lower priority that might have to then slide off? We just need to have those conversations up front.
Sooner or later, I hope.
Yep, we will continue. Anything new that comes out, you know, Brandon also gets all that information as well. So we'll keep reporting out on it. Anything else about?
Sinking fund update?
So I will share a couple of things, and PJ, jump in anytime you feel that something, our fire and PA system at Gilbert is complete. Gilbert is complete right now, ahead of schedule. They did a nice job of being able to get in there, which allows our cleaning crew to get in there and go forth into getting that taken care of. Ahead of schedule at Sawyer, we had a meeting today with our OHM and the masters and walk through kind of the process where they're at Sawyer. Things are moving along very nicely there. We do have a holdup. The lighting is ordered, it's scheduled to be delivered on August 2nd, so we're hoping. Shipping on August 2nd. Shipping on August 2nd, so we're hoping that that gets delivered. They feel that they would have, you know, if it stays on that timeline, that they'll be able to have that installed and ready to go. So things are moving forward in regards to that stuff very well. They'll be moving into the high school, middle school next week. They'll have a crew getting started over here, and they feel we're very confident that they're on the timeline to be more than completed, you know, having it completed in more than enough time before the summer wraps up. Anything else on that I missed?
Only with Gilbert, we did the punch list today.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that, we'll give that to masters, and it's a couple fixes. It's really minor things. It's light covers are the wrong color. A couple of things here and there. Honestly, it's probably about an hour's worth of work. And then they should be ready to clear, at least Gilbert.
And the last thing, our gym floor, we had our gym floor resurfaced and redone. That was a couple weeks where it was shut down. Very pleased with the product of getting that done. So we've had lighting upgraded in the gym and the floor redone. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain and keep that on that 10-year schedule so it doesn't get lost in that shuffle, but very pleased with the product and the outcome of it, and hope if you have a chance after the meeting this evening, please walk down. Doors are open. Get in there, and I know we've had kids in there and coaches have been working, so it's nice to have that back in action as we start moving into the late summer workouts and into the fall season, so. That is sinking fund update.
What about a strategic plan update?
Avis, you had a question?
When we get all that installed, so we had talked a couple years ago about police, if something happens in these buildings, that they could not find the very specific place that they needed to go. So once all of this is completed, will they be able to find that spot? Do you-
Like electrical, like the, yes.
No, like the fire and PA and all of that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so if they get called, they will
Yes.
be able to go specifically
Yes,
to
and
that
that'll be a
spot.
walkthrough that I'll set up with Chief here at some point, and we'll be able to get in there and walk through so that they have a comfortable feeling of where those are, anything is at in the
So
building.
they'll
All
know.
three of the buildings.
Okay.
Yep, they will know,
Like it'll set
absolutely.
off an alarm, say,
Yeah,
Mandy's room, Gilbert School.
yeah.
If I may.
Yep.
With the fire alarm system, the way it's set up is if there's a fire alarm, there's a panel by the door that they walk in, that it says what panel or what device went off. So it isolates it to an area, to a hallway, to a roof.
So you'll know specifically where to go.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's different, if it's a non-fire related event, the panel doesn't display everything. But if it's a fire alarm that goes off, yes, it will tell them which one went off.
And that's part of the upgrade, and they'll be able to do walkthroughs here as we move into the fall. PJ and I will set that up and get our emergency services a chance to get in the building.
So would this be like, you know, let's say at the high school, I'm assuming they still use the app? If there's a problem, they can use the app, are we
Yes.
still using that?
Mhm. Yep, 911 is worked through our rave, it's communicated via your phone, all of our staff have.
So would we have to continue using that then? Probably?
We would still use that, yes, that's
Okay.
still a service that we'll continue to use.
Is the district using that now or just the high school? No.
That's all buildings.
Strategic plan?
Part of the operations, I brought my book with, but part of the operations and finance, one of our focuses is going to be, it talks about develop enrollment targets, implement retention and growth strategies. One of the things I'll be working with elementary principals starting now and moving forward is just looking at, we have a number of students in our district that go to school somewhere else, and we're going to look at targeting and trying to figure out what can we do to attract, what can we do to bring some of those students back and look at enrollment. One of the areas, North Star has the academy in Marquette. They will not be utilizing busing services for next fall, so that'll be an area that probably hopefully be an opportunity for us to revisit with folks and say, hey, is this an opportunity for us to get the kids back and looking at enrollment? So principals and I will be sitting down and working through some of that stuff and hopefully meeting with some of those families and discussing an opportunity to come back and re-enroll.
Will Brad be involved in that too?
Pardon me?
Will Brad be involved in
Yeah.
that as well?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, yes, but Brad will be a part of that conversation, discussion. Yes, thank you. So that's the area that we're going to be focusing on here moving forward as we work towards the start of the school year, whatever we can do. That number is just about 50 of students that are enrolled in that academy, and then the ones that we'll be looking at to get some of those kids back.
So the informal superintendent evaluation schedule, I think there's been some discussion amongst the board about maybe doing an informal evaluation at as a quarterly like interval.
Sure.
Instead of sitting down halfway through and then at the very end, it doesn't give us any time to maybe tweak things or adjust things as we go.
Sure.
It's not informal, it's supposed to be formal. I think always be supposed to do that.
Okay. Well, then we need to make sure that stays on the agenda, that we keep track on it.
Yeah, do we wanna, oh, it's not an action item, okay.
So it's a conversation, discussion.
It was something
interval
that's,
between the
it was
6 month
something,
and the end
I
of
think
the
that got shifted and adjusted, you
Sure,
know, when you came
absolutely.
on as a new superintendent, and maybe wasn't given the attention that it should have been. But going forward, we're gonna stick to that. Is that fair?
Could
Yes,
one of you
and
two
can you-
explain that for the audience so they know what we're talking about?
Yeah,
They might not.
So, can I talk?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So what it means is that, every quarter, we will do, an evaluation, just like a mini evaluation, so that when Mr. Bruce has his yearly evaluation, it's not so much, and then there's things that can be tweaked or, you know, whatever we need to do as we go on. Jane, could you put that on the agenda as an action item next time?
I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Do we have a department update?
Yeah, Mr. Soring is just gonna provide, an update in regards to some athletics. Got a couple minutes. You're on the clock.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at the June meeting with a family vacation, but thank you for the opportunity here in July. Very pleased with the MHSA summer activities with middle school and high school kids. I mean, obviously, you'd always want every single kid there, but that's not realistic during summer with everything going on. So anything that's been on site that we've coordinated with the maintenance department on, when we can and can't use certain venues on our overall facility here, have gone really, really well. I'm very proud of the coaches that are giving up family time off the contract clock, so to say, to provide these kids with these opportunities. And the off-site opportunity with Advantage has gone very, very well, because the majority of the days, other than one typically, is off-site up in Marquette. And so that transportation bus that different departments have paid for through the sports departments has continually been filled. Our schedules right now for fall sports, high school is basically in place. You'll see those posted by the end of this week on our athletic page on the district's website. Middle school stuff typically takes a couple extra weeks to get tweaked, because those are the second version of schedules the local ADs start tapping into. We do have some open coaching positions, have been receiving applications, so in the next 2 weeks, I will be working diligently on that. The one big one we're trying to solve is an interim position for varsity volleyball. Kendall Ahola is expecting twins, and yes, absolutely. I just met with her today to continue the brainstorming on who she's talked to, who I talked to. And that's a tricky one, because it's an interim position. We don't want to lose Kendall. Kendall doesn't want to go anywhere, but we want to respect the fact they have a family starting, and a family of 2 out of the blue, out of all of a sudden. So, we will find solutions for that and be able to make that happen for all of our varsity girls this year on the volleyball team. 2 sets of dates to keep in mind. August 8th is the high school start of all MHSAA sports. And then August 22nd, based on how middle school schedules are shaken out, seem to be the common date. We'll start up with the middle school sports. This fall, we'll have the opportunity with middle school cross country, middle school football, and then 7th and 8th grade girls basketball. And last but not least, just met with some of the boosters. And some of the boosters and I spent the weekend down in Iron Mountain at the Gus Macker, kind of hanging out, watching some of our local kids play, and we are definitely going to be conducting a Meet the Model Towners. The question now is working with Jess Steyer and Dee Carter to see what's the perfect date within our early home schedule here within August. So I think the goal is to try to get it in before that the last week of August. The goal is to try to get it in before then. But we'll keep that communication alive, and we'll let all you guys know, because as we do it in Gwyn, every year we're looking to be bigger and better, and that's Jess's mindset, and she passed along some ideas to me for this Meet the Model Towners, so I'm excited. But thank you for the opportunity. And after the meeting or anytime this week, even though I'm off contract really in a sense with my schedule right now on vacation time, APs learn really quickly, the month of July, especially middle of July, you gotta start tapping into the office quite a bit more, because athletics is right around the corner. So anybody there in front of me, anybody behind me, more than welcome to reach out, because I'm tapping into the office daily with everything. Thank you.
Superintendent's report?
Yep. So part of the update, staffing, we've had some vacancies in regards to some folks that have taken some jobs. We have one staff member who's moving back to their home state. Another staff member took a job with another district where she lives, and then another staff member.
I can't hear you.
Another staff member had a job, received or took a job with the ISD. So we had 3 openings. We did fill some of those vacancies. Still with the kindergarten numbers, unsure in regards to what that enrollment will be. We kind of pumped the brakes a little bit in that regards, and we'll be monitoring that in the next few weeks here as hopefully enrollment comes up. So confident with where things are in regards to staffing. Unfortunately, I was notified over the weekend at the board meeting at Nice Community Schools tonight, they will probably vote to accept Mr. Lawson as their middle school principal. So that will lead to a vacancy with us. So once I get notification in regards to that, I will get that posting around. Hopefully we'll have that set up for tomorrow and we'll get that process started. Puts us in a timeline that's a little bit shorter than I'd like, but I'm confident that we'll be able to set that up in the next few weeks, and hopefully that first week of August we can set up interviews and get somebody on board to fill that vacancy and fill that role. So those are the updates that I have there in that regards. There was a question in regards to flex room. We've had some shifts and changes there with our numbers, our special ed numbers. Our caseloads are increased. So we've got staff taking on as many caseloads as they can, which is going to put them in the classroom. So it's going to be a change with our flex room and how it's going to be staffed. We have a staff member, a para out there that will monitor that room on a daily basis, supervised by one of our teachers out there, along with obviously the principal, which will be a shift as we move forward with a new person in that. So there's some moving parts there now, unfortunately, but confident that that will utilize that.
You don't know who that'll be yet? Who's gonna be running elementary audit fire flex room?
Oh,
I'm assuming Terry's gonna stay in there.
right now, Bobby Chambers is slated to work in that room. That's who we have, but ultimately, with a new staff, with a new principal coming out there, there's some moving parts, so I really can't state that for sure.
Well, what are your feelings? Are you still gonna have a teacher staffing it?
No, I don't have enough. With our caseloads and where they are, I've got to put special ed teachers in front of kids and manage that part of it. So it's going to be something a little bit different. We're going to utilize the model that they have at Gilbert, which has been very successful in working with Mrs. Paulson and their behavioral interventions that they have. So there's pieces there that we've got to put in place.
I'll schedule an appointment and come in and talk to you more about it.
Yeah, yeah. And
What
again,
about the high school?
And again, the replacing a principal out there is going to be, it's going to create some pieces moving, so. What about the high school? High school will stay the same. We don't have any plans for any changes at the high school currently right now. And I do have a correspondence. I did have a thank you note from Gwin Lions Club. They expressed their appreciation for allowing us to host the car show. They utilize our property. They just verified and asked that permission prior to, said absolutely no problem, and they shared a thank you card expressing their appreciation and gratitude.
So we have to revisit the work schedule, or the work session scheduling. We gave up on doing it this summer because of schedules, so.
I did reach out to Tim Hall. Obviously, he had August 3rd on the slated, but is available in September. Just with, he asked for, 3 or 4 dates. That's something that he could work with, and he would be happy to make that fit. So He's just waiting for me to reach back, or contact him back.
How long will it take?
It's a 3-hour session.
Probably a night other than a board night.
Absolutely. Is it just like board member 101? Is that what it is, or what is it?
Was it the board member 101, or is it more of a,
I think it's a follow-up to that.
Like a
I mean,
follow-up
obviously, we've
to
had
it.
that,
Let's see what it said.
Right now, we're looking at September, is that what you said?
yeah,
I can tell you right now, for me, it's gotta be early in September. We got some family stuff going on that I will not be available the rest of the month. In the beginning of October is gonna be very tough.
so is like the 19th or 20th too late in the month?
The 19th is the
Yep.
lead board meeting.
That's right, sorry. 12th. It's a week
Yep.
after Labor Day.
Yep, it's gotta be before that.
And what is Saturday?
Saturday morning.
I'm not willing to do a Saturday in the fall, because I'm not around enough.
It would have to be for me the 9th or before, the 1st through the 9th.
TJ, what's your schedule?
Make it priority.
First of the 9th doesn't offer us anything because of Memorial or Labor Day in the middle. Other than the day after Labor Day.
Labor Day's the 5th. Right?
Right.
So like the 7th?
I believe that will work, yes. For me,
Only for you.
Mondays or Tuesdays.
The 6th?
I can do the 5th or the 6th.
5th is Labor Day.
5th is Labor Day.
It don't matter to me.
I know.
You and I'll be the only ones here.
I'm just saying, it don't matter to me. I'm
Right.
throwing it out there.
I'll be here, but it's after.
What about the
After
6th?
the union picnic, so I'm not
What
sure.
about the 6th?
The 7th is what's gonna work for me. Every Tuesday is bad, when you have a child and dance.
Okay, the 6th is a Wednesday.
The 6th is a
Oh, I'm in July, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong month.
Do we want to put it to October? Because clearly September's not working.
August 29th is the first day of school, just FYI. Which
Right.
is Monday, and it's a half day.
Right.
So just,
It's more of a
even though it's in
board.
August, but it's.
Wednesday
Well-
the 7th
Getting
won't work,
school
Raymond?
started at least.
Wednesdays don't work.
Mhm.
What about Thursday, the 8th?
I'm not in town.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I dictate my work schedule so that I can attend board meetings on Monday nights, and that forces me to work weekends when I have seniority. That permits me to not have to do that. So if we have to push this to October to get it on a Monday or Tuesday or come in on a Saturday, that's fine, we can do that. But at some point, you know, other than work and illness or childcare issues, personal issues of camping, vacationing, and things like that have to take, our board seats have to take preference over that.
Well, not when I've made my reservation 6 months in advance.
Because we ran for a seat to be here
On a
and to
Monday.
be accountable.
On
So,
Monday, that's when I ran.
also, we can look at a Monday in October if anybody's available.
The 3rd works for me.
3rd works,
Anything. I just make it work.
No. The 10th works for me, but
10th. Is that a holiday?
it's a Columbus Day. It's not a holiday.
I'll be here.
Okay.
10th or 17th.
17th is a regular board meeting.
Oh, that's right. There we go with that again.
10th works for me. 3rd does too.
5:30, 6, what?
Whatever, 6. On the 10th?
What time?
It's a 3-hour
6
class.
on the
So
10th?
it's 6.
October 10th, 6
Okay.
o'clock. I will get old Mr. Hall this evening. Oh. Try.
6. Put it in here right now because I don't double book that one. All right.
I know.
So we have a Neola policy, second reading.
I make a motion to accept the NEOA policy second reading.
I'll second that.
It's not an action. Well, yeah, it is.
It is.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
I'll still second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there any discussion about it? Any opposed? None heard. The extended continuity learning plan.
This is just an extension of our continuity of learning plan in the case that we are out for an extended period of time in regards to a shutdown of any sort. Everything pretty much stays the same. We will utilize the services and how we've done that in the past. This is just stating, yep, we've got it still in place, and it's what we have is what we're gonna utilize.
Okay.
Do you need a motion on it or anything to?
Yes.
It is an action item.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any discussion with it? Okay.
I make a, oh, sorry.
New business action, school of choice resolution, page 19.
I make a motion to accept the school of choice resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any discussion? The elementary handbook changes, which are highlighted in yellow in the handout.
You can have my copy if you'd like.
I didn't get one. You didn't send it to me. I was just gonna ask what it said. I read it on the,
Online, yeah.
online, yeah.
I'm sorry that you didn't get one.
That's okay.
To somebody else's.
This is the elementaries. Obviously, this will kind of work for both buildings. And
Oh, I did read that.
high school, middle school will meet because of Mr. Surrey and Mr. Pfluger's schedules hadn't matched up yet. They will have it for next board meeting in August prior to that, or prior to the start of school. We'll have our middle school, high school handbook updated, but this one is for elementary.
So will the title of this actually say K.I. Sawyer and Gilbert Elementary Schools?
It says Gwynn Elementary Student Handbook Updates.
Okay, I was just hoping to be more specific. but
Oh,
okay.
we can,
That's fine.
absolutely.
It is the elementary school.
No, I know. I was just
It
wondering
references-
if we shouldn't be more specific though.
Okay, I can certainly.
Just a thought I
Yep.
had.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes in the elementary handbook.
Second?
I have one question.
Oh, that's just a second. I'll second.
Oh, sorry. On this, on the, changing of the headlights thing, page in, one in.
Okay.
Okay. So when they report to the office or whatever, because I know that we've had several issues with headlights not getting taken care of, somebody's going to check them, right? Yes? Okay.
Who does that in the building, do we know? I had to do it once, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking, is there somebody specific?
Yes.
That was my only question.
We have counselor available, sometimes it's a staff member, some, you know.
But not one person is, okay.
My question is because is this technically policy, so we need 2 reads on it?
No.
No.
This is not,
Okay.
you know. No.
Perfect. I just wanted to double.
Yep, good question, thank you.
So we had a second. Do we have an all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, I voted yes, sorry. I was reading.
Is there any further discussion on it? Okay. We'll move on to personnel resignation. Brian Shalene, JV football assistant coach, Gwynn High School, effective date of resignation, June 7th, 2022. We'll take the resignation for that.
I make a motion to accept his resignation with regret.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard. Employment, we'll take them, is there any objection to take them individually, or
Please take them individually.
take them individually? Okay. Anna, is it Thoen? Stam? Music teacher, Gilbert and K.I. Sawyer Elementary School, effective date of hire, first day of the 2022-23 contract year. So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept her.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Alexandria is Cruid? Cruid? Okay, Cruid. Classroom teacher, Castleberry Elementary School, effective date of hire, first day of the 2022-23 contract year. Get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept that Alexandria Crude.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Are these gals here?
Allie's.
Welcome. It's just nice to have a face to the name who we're hiring.
Sorry, I can't pronounce the names. Crystal Weller, classroom teacher, Castleberry Elementary School, effective date of hire, first day of the 22-23 contract year.
I'll make a motion to approve Crystal Weller.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Welcome.
None
Chris-
heard?
Crystal and Allie were both student teachers this past school year, so we're pleased to be able to get them on board and keep them here. They did a great job, and we look forward to them continuing working in the district.
Perfect. Gifts and donations, donors choose graphic memoir literature circles project valued at $1,626.36 for Ms. Holland's classroom at GMS GHS, and Model Town or Bold campaign donations in May and June 2022, total $3,662 from various alumni. Get a motion?
Make a motion with gratitude to accept.
I'll second with gratitude.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None heard. We didn't get any new public comment for the last section. Okay.
I just have a couple things to say. Mr. Bruce, you made a comment about giving the kids the opportunity to come back to one that we've lost in the past. How are we going to do that without being an all-inclusive school? It needs to start at the top. And it's not only the LGBTQ community, it's the bullying, it's the racism. Again, let's start at the top. Let's deal with what we have here instead of looking at it as a money situation. It would definitely help the district, but you're not going to get them back until we as a community and the school change. One other thing I have, you said there's been an increase in the flex room. I have a little issue with that because I don't know how much I would 100% believe your administrators. I have a real hard time with Marcy Paul's line on my son, and nobody has yet to investigate it except Mr. Lawson. I also want to say something in regards to Mr. Lawson going to middle school. Not gonna lie, beginning of the year, the man was my worst enemy. I thought the man could be all right, but guess what? The reason he couldn't, he was not given the resources or the opportunity to do correct. He learned it out towards the end of the year, and now he wants to take it away. He's gotten on board with the teachers. Yeah.
Nagani.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said Glenn. My apologies. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, okay, now I don't feel so bad. Sorry. I'm good now. Thank you.
I would like to add on to that a little bit if possible. You spoke, or Ms. Evans did speak about how you guys spoke about bringing students who recently left the school district back to the school district. Well, as a student at our school, I think we have bigger concerns to deal with. I'd just like to say that.
Okay. So we'll move on to board member comments, and I'm going to start off with that because I think it's only fair that everybody else seated at this table. Some of the comments were directed towards the board in general when they should have been directed at me personally, and I can take responsibility for that. I tried to take notes. I tried to keep track of things. So I'll try to touch on some of the common things among each of the comments that came from the audience today. There was a comment made about apologizing for not knowing me, and I apologize if people don't know me. However, I do have a phone, I do have an email address, I am approachable, and people that know me know that they can come talk to me, even if their views may be different than mine. We generally always can come to some consensus. The only comments I've seen have been comments on social media where I don't have the avenue to even correct anything that was misplaced or misspoke. So I would encourage anybody, if they want to know where I stand on things or know where I'm coming from, or maybe clarify something that I say, because sometimes it doesn't come out the correct way, and I apologize for that. But I've always been very open to anybody, of anybody's feelings, personalities, or if we differ in opinion on things. I do agree that Gwyn needs to be a safe place for all students, and I underline all. Every student here should feel safe here. The comment regarding, or the mention of a diversity and inclusion committee, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, that's something that, I'd like to see that take place, honestly, because I think the only way that we're ever gonna get anybody to talk about anything is if we have people from different points of view coming in a respectful environment and being able to talk about that. And that's a lot of times the commonality, and I'm not gonna throw anybody in particular under the bus, but there's a person in this room that we started out with different viewpoints, but yet through talking to each other, we've learned that we're not that far apart. We all want the same things, and that is the exclusiveness in the school. Regarding the things about the flags and things like that, I would have hoped that that whole dialogue would have been posted on social media instead of a minute or so of it cut out of there, because it really didn't put it into context. The context of that conversation was that I was here on the last day of school, and I was standing here watching what was going on in the school. So the comments regarding were specific to that incident and that incident alone. By no means any suggestion that anybody should have to be able to, was it diminish their shine, I think was said, if I'm quoting that correctly? Nobody should ever have to diminish their shine on either side of it. The point that I was trying to drive home was that going towards that inclusion and diversity in the district, that means on every side of it. The left side, the right side, the middle of it. Every school, every walk of life, every preference in life has to be respected equally the same.
As long as you don't say it.
And
as long as it's preference, right?
no, I didn't interrupt you during your comments, so I would appreciate if you don't interrupt during mine. So, the other comment that I wanted to address was getting to know the students. Coming from somebody that, for one, doesn't even know me, how do you know that I don't know students in this district? How do you know that I don't have an interaction with students in this district? And talking about respect for pronouns. We talk about being respectful and being understanding of people and trying to address people properly. Some people refer to other people as sir, ma'am. It may not be correct in this day and age, but it's a learning curve for some of us that find that the things have changed, but by no means should that be taken as any sign of disrespect whatsoever. It's simply trying to be respectful and address somebody respectfully. And then it goes towards the tolerance. The tolerance is demanded that someone who may appear to be not so understanding or so inclusive towards different lifestyles are supposed to be tolerant. However, a minor misstep in referring to somebody by the improper pronoun when the attempt was to be respectful should be given a little bit of tolerance as well. Tolerance goes both ways as far as that's concerned. So I would hope that the opinions that or the statements that I made, or the opinions that I may have put out here are mine and don't reflect anybody else. Unless they spoke and said it directly, I don't think anybody else sitting here should be held accountable for anything that I may have said or the direction that I led that discussion. So I would hope that you would come to me though and maybe clarify, because I do honestly believe we can come to a pretty equal spot in understanding amongst all of us. So, next.
Me to go?
Yeah.
Casey, I said toughen up. Well, I have learned to toughen up is what my daughter said. because my daughter has been being harassed in this school. My daughter is being bullied. I wasn't talking about all kids that are being bullied. I was talking specifically about Senya. So I'm sorry that you took it the wrong way, and I'm sorry if other people took it the wrong way, and I'm sorry if I don't speak up. But it was Senya that said that, and that's what I was trying to say. And there were a couple teachers back there, I don't remember exactly who, hardly anyone in the audience. But Senya's been having a hard time, and that's who I was telling. And she came to me and said, Mom, I've learned to toughen up. And I thought, well, I guess that shocks me a little, but maybe that is the way. I don't know. But she's the one getting bullied. And it is tough. And I don't say it's not. It is. And when these are off the wall, different. And when I spoke about Good Friday, that I did as public comment, not as a board member. I stood up there like you guys stand up there with my little thing, and I stood up there like that. When I talked about uniforms, I'm not talking about just people of different sexualities. I'm talking about rich kids, poor kids, all kids. I think maybe uniforms would be a way to not have them bullied, because maybe they aren't rich enough to buy the cool tennis shoes or the cool pair of jeans or the in things, or maybe they only have one outfit to wear to school and they get picked on for it. Because I've heard from a lot of teachers and a lot of different people, and that's what I said. I don't know, and yes, Chris, I shouldn't have interrupted. I was very frustrated at that meeting, and it stunk because I couldn't get a word out edgewise. So I did interrupt TJ. I know I did. So I am sorry for that, and I am sorry that you guys took all of my comments about school uniforms wrong. I just see a lot of schools in the country that have uniforms, and it seems like it puts everybody on a level playing field. Maybe I'm wrong. I very well could be. I'm not the smartest person in the toolbox, but that's what my talk about uniforms was. Everybody on the same level playing field, including my own daughter. Because I tell her all the time, you can't wear that to school, you can't wear that to school. Kids get dress coded, boys don't get dress coded, different things like that, all the way around. It's not just about sexuality. I don't know. Kai. I'm totally non-understanding, and I'm very confused about he, they. So I welcome you to come to me personally and teach me about what you mean by all of that, because I don't understand. And I try to look things up on social media, but it doesn't always work. So I welcome you to come to me and somebody tell me what, explain to me. So I do say proper things to you. And I'm really sorry that you guys took whatever I said and everything that I said in out of context. Yes, Casey? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I don't know either, but I wanted to say, instead of, putting it on a student, as adults, I have resources, I have contacts with Living with Change and a bunch of different programs that would love to come and educate not just you all, but the staff in general. I would love to get you in contact with that, and anything that I can do to make that happen, I would happily do it.
Because this is all new to us. I'm
It's
the
definitely
over
learning
50
curve.
age.
Absolutely, I will give you that, but I think the pervasive point is that we need to keep going forward.
Can I go now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm a little heated, so I apologize in advance. I was the board member who brought it up about Good Friday. Not in a religious affiliation for me. It was because we had agreed as a district a few years ago that we would do the Common Start calendar with the entire county, and everybody else had that day off except for us. So that's why I brought it up. So with that said, so I've been on this board the longest, and I used to do the social media thing where I would complain, and I never had a solution to the problem. And so I decided one day, with some great encouragement from a few teachers, that I was no longer gonna be an armchair quarterback, and I was gonna throw my hat in the ring, and I was gonna come and be on the board because I wanted to see change, and I've seen a ton of change since I've been on this board. And it is really easy, and this is gonna offend probably everybody, but it's really easy to come in here and tell us what we're doing wrong all the time. But 9 times out of 10, this audience is empty. When we're trying to make huge things happen, when we have no money, when we have no resources, and we're all here trying to do the best we can with the information we have, and we don't have any public support. So I have a suggestion. You can run for all these positions this year. We have 2 coming up. And if you want to come up here and do this, by all means, put your hat in the ring. I think you have until July 27th.
The 26th.
And, hold on. So it's really easy to start crap on social media and all of this stuff. Pick up a phone. Every single one of us has them. Pick them up. Text, call, do whatever you need. I'm pretty approachable. Like I said, I'm really heated right now. But anybody that knows me knows I will give you the benefit of the doubt, and I will give you the time that I have to try to help you, to fix your problem, to send it to the next person up. So we are volunteers. That is what we are. So we are volunteering our time to try to make the best we can do. So with that said, maybe some of you can come to us, me in particular, and say, you know what, this is a huge problem in our district. This is what I want to do to help fix it. Because I will be the first one to sit with you and to come up with that to a group, a community meeting, whatever, so that everybody can get the knowledge that we all need so that we don't say things that are misconstrued. So, and with that said, Dustin, I am 100% behind you. Yes. So, I did. Please, if there's anything I can do to help with that, let me know. Okay, and if there's a group of individuals that are going to start meetings and start a group for the LGBTQ, please invite me. And Ava's just said invite her. I would love to be a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just really quick, 2 things. I know a lot of us in this room, it was said that we were taking things out of context. And speaking for myself and at least 5 other people I know in this room, I watched the entire board meeting from start to finish online. That's what Ian's doing here. You have to be mindful that some people might not be in the room, but they're still paying attention because this whole thing goes online. I will say I agree, a lot of it did get taken out of context, which is why I went and watched the whole thing, because I wanted to see everything. That's the first thing. The second thing, as far as like coming to people, as I briefly mentioned in my comment, this is my second trying to start a diversity and inclusion committee. TJ was on the committee, it got shut down, and it's not Mr. But it was prior administration. I was told that it was far too political of a stance to take to have a diversity and inclusion committee. That's why I made the decision to come and do it in public comment, because I was shut down by previous administration.
Okay, and again, I don't.
And so I wasn't trying to. I'm just so you know, there was an attempt that was made. I know Chris was on the committee, TJ was on the committee. There were people on it, but it got shot down by administration. So. Okay,
and I'm very naive when it comes to stuff like that, to be completely honest with you. But I didn't know about it, and I don't know who the person was that didn't share that with the board. But you can fire one of us a text message. I mean, I'll give you my phone number. I don't have a problem. And that's something we can let everybody else know, because we would love to be a part of it. And I don't know if I can 100% commit to every time, because I have a lot of other things as well, but I would like to be a part of it.
I just have one thing to say. I've actually talked to you about it. It was back though when Sandy was superintendent. Connie Sather started it, Coach Hill was a part of it.
Okay.
We were told no one we had talked about it, like in regards to Jude. It's been a few years though, but it's been tried. I do have two actually things to say. Mr. Waldo, and you're probably not going to appreciate this, I feel you're very well rehearsed.
Okay, stop. You're not gonna attack us.
No.
It's not an attack.
Yes, it is.
Well,
You're-
we're moving on to board comments right now, so.
Is Don done?
I'm done.
Go for it, you're up.
We're just
Going
going
around.
around the table.
All right, so I have a tendency to go on and ramble and all that good stuff. So prior to hearing what everybody said, I had written down a few things. So I'll just read what I wrote, and then the rambling starts. So I wrote that I hope we can all agree that our schools should be places that are safe for all students. They can be places where students can focus on learning and developing into amazing young adults. And some of the speakers earlier already alluded to this, but we know that statistically, LGBTQ plus youth are more likely to experience stress and fear in school than their non-LGBTQ plus peers. Verbal harassment, and physical assault can be more commonly directed to LGBTQ plus youth. It can affect the likelihood of young people attending and completing school. So what can be done? And I'm a very much solution focused, moving forward type of mindset. I generally try not to speak in absolute terms, so just take this as what we can do as a school district, as a board, as administration. The school climate can be a protective factor for LGBTQ plus youth. Schools in general, and our district in particular, can encourage respect for all students. We can prohibit bullying, harassment, and violence against all students. We can conduct social emotional learning activities in school to enhance peer relationships and help all students develop empathy. We can maintain safe spaces for all students. We can enhance cultural competence of school staff. When the administration, teachers, and all staff are actively involved in creating this environment, students can feel safer. And although we as a district have begun to incorporate these strategies, there are things that the school district has done to incorporate everything I just mentioned throughout our district. It's vital and super important to acknowledge that there's always room for improvement and that we can always be doing more. By actively monitoring and doing progress checks on our efforts, we can ensure that these initiatives stay at the forefront in order to provide the best learning environment for all of our students. So that's what I wrote. To me, growing up here in the UP, it's incremental change. It's tough, right? And the experiences that I had are not the same experiences that the students nowadays experience or have to go through. Some of them have gotten better, right? Incrementally, a little bit. We're not there yet, but we're working towards it. I don't like to take any steps backwards. I always like to try to move forward and having this safe environment. There's always going to be disagreements, but this meeting that we have, to me it's the smallest part. It's not the smallest part because we get to hear from people, but more normally when nobody's here and it's just us talking about numbers and doing stuff, there's always stuff going on. There's conversations that are being had. There's we're looking over budgets. We're having different committee meetings. So it's hard to see, but there are efforts being made. And sometimes we need events kind of like this to kickstart things, to get us moving forward even faster. Like the DEI committee that I sat on, I think we sat on 1 or 2 meetings, and then it got squashed, right? And I never brought it up to anybody else. That's on me. I don't think I told anybody else about this because I didn't feel like, not that the board wouldn't be, but that it was not going to be, it was not going to move forward in the way that I wanted to see it happen. I think that now we can get it going in the way that is going to be actually give some fruitful results, right? So I'm glad to see the buy-in from the board, and now it's actually putting words into action, and being able to be accountable and to keep doing these progress checks, right? And I do encourage any concerned public member to reach out. I've spoken to some people, and I've spoken to people on the board that I might not necessarily agree with 100%. I'll say it. John and I have had multiple discussions, and they have been. They're a lot easier when you can actually talk to somebody one-on-one instead of from this spot. So I hate that people need to feel hurt and need to feel unsafe and need to feel threatened in order to come and talk to us, right? And in order for initiatives to get moving. But sometimes that's what it takes, and it's a tough thing to do sometimes. But I'm hoping that that we get buy-in from the board and the administration, and that we see some continued results. Because like I said, every single one of those things, we have policies. Our second reading of Neola policies, those just addressed non-discrimination. Okay, so it's in policy now. Where it was before to an extent, but this was an updated policy. With the social emotional learning, we have programs going on throughout this district that is trying to promote that. It's just making sure that we get buy-in and consistent results from all staff, all teachers, all administration, all board. And we have safe spaces for kids. The goal is that any kid would know that any classroom, any bus driver, any staff member, right, would be a safe adult to talk to. That's the goal, and we're moving towards that, getting there, right? But we're not there yet. But it's not to say that we're not doing anything, okay? We're doing some things. Maybe hopefully we can accelerate that process, okay? And that's all.
Well said, AG. I like your incremental. I think
I like quicker increments, but.
Well, yeah, we all do, but change is slow, but at least it is change.
Are you going?
No.
Okay. First of all, thank you everybody for speaking tonight. Appreciate it. It was nice hearing from everybody on their thoughts and concerns and whatnot. So I appreciate you guys all speaking tonight. I know it's very hard to get up and speak in front of people. Sometimes I hate it, yet here I sit. So I do thank you. I really do. It means a lot. I apologize. I'm guilty. I don't get around into school. I can't. I work during school hours, so I don't get here to meet the kids. I know a few. I'm related to most of them. So the ones that I know. So I do apologize. I don't get into school. I know a lot of the teachers, or some of the teachers anyway, the administration and that. But yeah, so I am guilty of that. But other than that, I'm just going to leave that alone. I think that was talked about enough already. But I am also here if you guys need anything. So on a positive note, congratulations to all the new full-time employees. And I also, somebody said it over here, I don't remember who, but I hope we can move forward with the baseball also. Thank you for bringing that to us. Anything I can do to help with that as well, let me know. I'll be more than happy to. It's always good to bring new stuff into the school. So anything I can do to help anybody, just let me know. Okay, thank you.
I have a list. First of all, I'd like to welcome the new people. You new people probably don't know, but I taught here for 25 years, and I love my teachers and my paras and the staff. So, and the rest of you, thank you for speaking up. I appreciate that. You know what else I appreciate? One, that you just came, and two, that you stayed after you spoke. A lot of people speak and then they leave. You know, it's kind of upsetting to us. It'd be nice if they would stay and hear everything that is going on, and I'm here to tell you, a lot of it is boring. You know, I get it. To Mr. Bruce and Miss Evans, I would really encourage you two to make a meeting and look at that video. If you two could do that. Dustin, I too agree, yay. I like involving his kids as much as I can. Probably would be a good start to start with Mr. Suring and Mr. Bruce. Set up a meeting. Boy, are you gonna be busy. And I don't know who's in charge of PD, but it might not be a bad idea to do a PD on the LBGD, whatever, I can't remember what it is, because I'm not that knowledgeable in it either. All I know is I just accept people for who they are. Model Town Bowl. It was nice we had that little update in there, but one of the things that people don't want to contribute to is, one, they don't know what it is, and two, where's the money going to go? So one of the things that a couple of us have discussed was specifics. I talked with Rob, maybe an AstroTurf football field. Okay, but in doing that, it's like, well, can't all go to sports? Well, I agree. I'm also all about community. If anybody's ever driven by my house at any holiday, I had proposed that we kind of get back to after-school programs. That we can include all kids, we can include all people within the community, not just teachers. If you don't know what community schools was, it was a bunch of after-school activities designed for anybody in the community. It wasn't just necessarily kids. It was for adults. It was for kids. It was for if a middle school kid had to go up to Gilbert School to take macrame, for example. You could do that. And it was for anybody. And community members, not just teachers. I would encourage teachers and staff, if we can get this on a go, I want to include this as a community thing. And get to know our kids, get to know our parents, because that's what we need to do. And I know it after working for 25 years. You're exhausted at the end of the day. Last thing you want to do is stay after school. But I would really encourage you to do that, because you can learn so much about so many people that you live with in this area. So those are a couple of the things that people ask. Those are a few of the things that we're looking at. That is where that money is going to go. So if you haven't contributed to that, you know, the question came, well, does it have to just be alumni of Gwin? No. Are you for Gwin? Then yeah. You can pay via PayPal now, right? We got the little QR code. It's tax deductible. And we want to keep it perpetuating for a long time, because we all know in this community, it's hard to do things. If you want to do things, you have to go to Marquette. I want to try to avoid that. I would much rather have Oakley doing dance in Gwin than me having to drive to Marquette every Tuesday. But it is, to me, all about community. And, you know, pass the word on that. And if you think you have something to offer, please do. Okay? Tina?
I'm not sure if it went to the whole board or not, or maybe just like the principals, but there is a woman in Ishmael named Rose Shippens.
Okay, well, because I want to go home. No offense, anybody. I'm dying up here, it's hot. Give her the information. Have her contact me. You know my number.
I think they did, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, nobody contacted me. Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about it. Did you have something, Casey?
I was just gonna say, while you're doling out and saying not all for sports, if you wanna throw the drama club in there, they could go.
The drama club is thrown in there, because they need money
They
too.
need it.
But I've just heard from so many people, like, we can't just go to sports.
No, yeah.
Because they
I just
were,
wanted to throw it in
they thought
there.
this money was going for the gym floor. None of this money went for that gym floor. But it would be nice to have a nice field out there for the community to use, not just the football team. Maybe we'd get a soccer thing going or something. I don't know, but I think it would also cut costs. And having to go out there and paint the little lines and pick up goose poop and whatever else they have to do out there. But it would be a good community, like activism kind of thing, you know, especially with everything that everybody has talked about here tonight. Getting to know everybody else, you know, it's difficult if you're not given the opportunities to do those things. And finally and lastly, because yes, I want to go home. I got an injection today. I have a terrible headache. I do go into the schools. Not only did I just work here for 25 years, I still go into the schools. I apologize to Gilbert. I had surgery on the Gilbert time, so I didn't get anywhere. I couldn't even walk down the hallway of my house. So, you know, I plan on doing that. But what I would ask, if any of these people come, welcome them. When some teachers, when they saw me coming, they close the door because they think I'm out to get them fired, and that is not the case. I want to know what's going on. I want to see what the kids are doing. Sometimes I see bad things, yes, I do. If I see another person on a cell phone when they're supposed to be working with a kid, I'm going to go ballistic, okay? But I also saw so many good things. Wonderful math lessons that were interactive for all the kids. Raising the little chicks, okay? Christy does her fish. You know, there's wonderful things that are going on. And it's sad when all we hear about are the things that are bad. But there are a lot of good things going on. Volunteer. Volunteer at your schools. You can learn a lot from people that way. Okay, I'm done.
I'll adjourn it at 8:15.
Thank you.
We're accepting offers on Wednesday at 6.
Hi there.